Let's finally find out who your real father is. That's what my mom said, smiling as she slid a small white box across the dinner table. I remember the exact moment my chest tightened, because nothing about that sentence felt like a joke. It was my 24th birthday. The candles were still burning. My friends had just left. It was supposed to be a normal, quiet family dinner. Just me, my mom, Lydia, and my dad, Michael. So why did it suddenly feel like I was sitting in the middle of something I didn't understand? I stared at the box. A DNA kit. "Mom, what do you mean?" I asked, trying to laugh it off. She tilted her head, still smiling, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, come on, Amara. It's just for fun. People do it all the time." Just for fun? Then why wasn't anyone else laughing? I looked at my dad. He didn't even look up, just kept cutting his food slowly, like he didn't hear a word. That was the first moment something felt wrong. You ever have that feeling? Like everyone else knows something you don't? I pushed the box slightly back toward her. I already know who my father is. Silence. Heavy, uncomfortable. And then she said something I still can't forget. Some truths come out when they're ready. What does that even mean? At that point, my heart wasn't just racing, it was sinking, because suddenly little things started coming back to me. Arguments I overheard as a kid, the way my dad sometimes looked at me, distant, the way my mom always controlled every conversation about family. And now, this. I glanced at my dad again. This time, he stood up. No explanation, no reaction, just quietly left the table. That scared me more than anything she said. Because if this was a joke, why did he look like he couldn't stay in the room? I turned back to my mom. "Why now?" She leaned forward slightly. "Because you deserve to know the truth." Truth about what? I didn't say yes right away, but I didn't say no either, because deep down, something told me this wasn't just about a DNA test. This was about something much bigger, something buried. And as I picked up that box, forcing a smile I didn't feel, I had no idea. I wasn't about to discover who my father was. I was about to lose everything I thought I knew about my life. The DNA kit didn't feel like a gift. It felt like a countdown. That night, I didn't open it right away. I just left it sitting on my desk, staring at me like it knew something I didn't. Tell me this, if your own mother suddenly questioned your identity, would you rush to find the answer, or would you be scared of what you might uncover? Because I was both. The next morning, my mom knocked on my door. Too early. Too eager. "Did you send it yet?" she asked, like she'd been waiting all night. I frowned. It's barely been 12 hours. She laughed it off, but again, it didn't feel real. "Well, the sooner you do it, the sooner we know." We. That word stuck with me. Why we? What exactly was she expecting to find? Over the next few days, it got worse. She kept bringing it up, casually, repeatedly, almost obsessively. "Did you register it yet? Make sure you followed the instructions properly. Sometimes results can surprise you." Surprise me how? Meanwhile, my dad? Completely silent. Not a single comment, not even when I tried to bring it up. One night, I asked him directly, "Do you think I should take it?" He paused, just for a second, then said quietly, "Do what you feel is right." That was it. No reassurance, no denial, nothing. And that silence said more than words ever could. That's when I started noticing things I had ignored my whole life. Old photo albums where my mom looked tense. Hospital pictures that didn't quite line up with the story I'd been told. Even family friends who used to say things like, "You don't look like either of them." At the time, it was harmless. Now, it felt like a clue. Then one afternoon, everything shifted. I was in the kitchen when my mom's phone rang. She stepped into the hallway thinking I couldn't hear, but I did. Her voice dropped low, urgent. "She can't find out this way." I froze. Find out what? There was a long pause, then she whispered, "No, it's too late now." Too late for what? My heart started pounding so hard I thought she'd hear it. When she came back, she acted normal. Too normal. That's when I stopped hesitating. That same night, I opened the DNA kit. Hands shaking, I followed every instruction, sealed it, sent it off. And just like that, whatever truth my mom was hiding was already on its way back to me. Weeks passed. Quiet, tense, uncomfortable. Until one morning, something arrived. Not an email, not results, a letter. From a law office. With my name on it. And that's when I realized this was never just about who my father was. DNA results don't come with lawyers, so why did mine come with one? I stood there, staring at the envelope, my name printed neatly across the front like it belonged to someone else. A law office? What could a lawyer possibly have to do with my DNA test? My hands felt cold as I opened it. Inside was a single letter, formal, precise, almost rehearsed. "Ms. M. Aranaka, you are requested to attend a private consultation regarding your biological background." Biological background? Not results, not paternity, something else. And then the line that made my stomach drop. "This matter requires immediate attention." Immediate? I read it again, and again, hoping it would somehow make more sense the second time. It didn't. So I did the only thing I could think of. I went straight to my mom. I found her in the living room, scrolling through her phone like nothing in the world was wrong. I held up the letter. "What is this?" She looked at it, and for a split second, just a second, her entire face changed. Fear. Real, undeniable fear. But just as quickly, it disappeared. "Oh, that?" she said casually. "Probably just a formality." A formality? "Mom, it's a lawyer." She waved her hand. "You're overthinking it, Amara. These companies partner with legal teams sometimes. It's normal." Normal? Nothing about this felt normal. I stepped closer. Then why does it say urgent? This time she didn't answer right away. And that silence told me everything. "Mom, what's going on?" I asked, my voice barely steady. She leaned forward slightly. "It's nothing serious. Just go to the meeting. We'll go together." "We'll go together." Again, that word. At this point, I didn't trust anything she said, but I needed answers. So a few days later, we went. All three of us. Me, my mom, my dad. The law office was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of place where every sound feels louder than it should be. We were led into a conference room. That's where we met him, Mr. Kessler, late 60s, calm, observant. He shook my hand, then glanced briefly at my parents, and then he said something I wasn't expecting. "Before we begin, I'd like to speak with Lydia privately." The room froze. My mom blinked. "Privately?" "Yes, it will only take a moment." That's when everything changed, because for the first time since this started, my mom didn't look in control. Her fingers tightened around her purse. Then they started shaking. Not slightly, noticeably. Like whatever was about to be said, she already knew, and she was terrified of it. She stood up slowly, forcing a smile that didn't hold. "I'll be right back," she said. But her voice? It cracked. The door closed behind them, and the silence that followed felt suffocating. I looked at my dad. He wasn't confused. He looked defeated, like a man who had been waiting for this moment. Minutes later, the door opened. My mom walked back in, pale, quiet, different. She didn't sit down right away. She just stood there, like she didn't know how. Then Mr. Kessler walked in behind her. Calm, controlled. He sat down, folded his hands, and looked directly at me. No hesitation, no softening. And then he said, "Amara, there's something you need to understand." And in that moment, I knew whatever he was about to say was going to change everything. You weren't just given the wrong father, you were given the wrong life. That's how he started. No warning, no build-up, just that. And for a second, I honestly thought I misheard him. "What?" I whispered. Mr. Kessler didn't look away. "The DNA results you submitted didn't match the man you believe is your father." My chest tightened, but strangely, that part didn't shock me anymore. Not after everything. But then he continued, "And that is not the primary concern." Not the primary concern? I felt my stomach drop. If that wasn't the main issue, then what was? He slid a file across the table toward me. Inside were documents, photos, dates. "Your DNA," he said carefully, "was entered into a national database." I nodded slowly, trying to keep up. And it triggered a match. A match? With a missing persons case. The room spun. I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" He didn't soften it. 24 years ago, a newborn baby girl was reported abducted from a hospital. Silence. Complete, crushing silence. I felt like the air had been pulled out of my lungs. "That child," he paused, watching my reaction, "is you." No, that didn't make sense. That couldn't make sense. I laughed, but it came out wrong, shaky, broken. That's not possible. But no one else was laughing. I turned to my dad. His eyes were already on the table, tears quietly falling. "You knew?" I asked, my voice rising. He shook his head slowly. "Not for sure, but I always suspected something wasn't right." Suspected? My heart started pounding again, but this time it wasn't confusion. It was fear. I turned to my mom. She wasn't looking at me. Her hands were clenched tightly together, trembling. "Mom?" I said, barely able to speak. "Tell me this isn't true." She didn't answer, didn't deny it, didn't even look up. And that silence? That was the answer. Mr. Kessler continued, his tone steady but heavier now. "The biological parents have been searching for their child ever since." Every word felt like a weight pressing down on me. "You're saying," I swallowed hard, "I was taken?" No one corrected me. No one stopped me. That's when something inside me cracked. Because this wasn't about a father anymore. This wasn't even about my family. This was about a life that had been stolen. My life. I looked at my mom again. Really looked this time. Not as my mother, but as someone I didn't recognize. "Say something," I demanded. Her lips parted slightly. A breath. A hesitation. And then, barely above a whisper, "I didn't mean for it to happen like that." My blood ran cold. Because that wasn't denial. That was confession. But the question was, how did it happen? And why? I didn't mean for it to happen like that. That was the moment everything stopped feeling like a mystery and started feeling real. Because that wasn't confusion. That was the truth trying to come out. I stared at my mom, no, Lydia, waiting for her to take it back. She didn't. Instead, she broke. Her shoulders collapsed, her voice shook, and for the first time in my life, she wasn't in control of anything. "I lost 3 babies before you," she said, barely holding herself together. 3. The room was silent. "I was at the hospital, alone. My father had stepped out. I heard another baby crying, and something in me just snapped. I couldn't breathe. She was in the nursery. No one was watching. I told myself I'd just hold her for a second, but then I thought, why not me? Why couldn't I be her mother?" My stomach turned. "So you just took me?" I asked, my voice hollow. Tears streamed down her face. "I told myself I'd fix it, that I'd bring you back. But then days passed, and I couldn't let you go." That was it. That was the truth. No conspiracy, no mix-up. A choice. A selfish, irreversible choice. I turned to my dad, Michael. "And you?" His voice was quiet. "I started noticing things. The dates didn't match, the records were off. But by then, you were already my daughter. I was afraid if I said anything, I'd lose you." Lose me? Or protect the lie? I didn't even know how to feel anymore. And that was the beginning of everything falling apart. Within days, Lydia was arrested, charged with kidnapping and fraud. The case reopened officially after 24 years. News spread fast. Friends stopped calling. Neighbors whispered. The life I thought was normal disappeared overnight. And then came the part I wasn't ready for. Meeting them. My biological parents. They walked into that room like they'd been holding their breath for decades. My mother cried before she even reached me. My father couldn't speak at all. They never stopped looking. Not for a single day. And standing there, between 2 families, I felt something I can't fully explain. Grief for the life I lost, and confusion for the one I lived. Weeks later, I visited Lydia in custody. No anger, no yelling, just silence. "I'm sorry," she said. I believed her, but it didn't change anything. When I walked out of that room, I understood something clearly for the first time. I went looking for my father, but what I found was the truth about who I really am. And now, I'm learning to live with both. Not as the girl who was taken, not as the girl who was raised, but as someone finally living in the truth.